You see, the biggest enemy of the greatest within you, of the greatness within you, is the good that you can do.
Okay.
You see, if you're given a clear choice between good and bad, you always
Is
choose
it good? Yeah.
Okay. But there's what's great for you.
Yeah.
And to live a great life, you have to say no to a lot of good.
Hi, and welcome again to another episode. And this time, I think at this point in season 2, they are the favorite person to have here on the podcast. And it's because they have so much to share, and we've split this in a few episodes. So thank you for watching another episode, and I will just go straight to it. But remember, the only reason why we do this is so that you, as a working mom, can find the inspiration to know that it's not only happening to you, and there's so much greatness out there that you can learn from either the other gender, the male person, or the father of your children, that can make you a better version of who you are, so that you can become a powerhouse for yourself and for your family. Yes, hi Karen.
Hi Lucy.
How
Happy
are
to
you?
be Again?
Yeah.
In such a, as always, you're far too kind with your words. Favorite person of the show.
You really are. You really are.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming again. Yeah, at this point, let's just introduce in case somebody's the first time they are interacting with you on this platform.
Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
As I said before, my name is Karan Shiri. I am a public servant, and it's something I take great pride in because I get to work directly for them and impact lives in that.
Yeah.
A husband to one wife, and father to 3 children, 1 son.
Yeah.
And 2 daughters.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, lovely. All right. So we've spoken before about many things, but I think the ones that stood out was one, the role of a husband, to the wife, of course, and then we spoke about the role of a father in a family setup, or just in the whole community aspect of it. And today I thought we would talk about. I know we discussed it before the episode, but the question that I had was, what do you like or do not like about the modern day parenting versus the traditional parenting? And I know you want to answer that in a different way, but where I was coming from is back in the day, or when we were big raised up, you'd meet up with Mama Nani and they tuna you because you've done such what, and then they go and report to your parent, and then your parent beats you for it. It was more of a community upbringing. But right now, if you go out there and you pinch someone's baby, it's a court case.
Yeah. One to you.
Yeah, so that's how I choose to see between modern parenting versus traditional parenting. But of course, I know there are very many other things that can make a point of discussion. So,
okay,
what do you think?
And I've had this debate, modern versus traditional parenting.
Yeah.
Several times, but like I said, you have to take the time to understand the person that raised you and the generation that they came from. And if you still have the privilege, understand the generation of the person that raised them, where they came from.
Yeah.
So expanding that argument or that conversation even further, then we realize that we've been having different generations. For example, my parents are baby boomers, and I come from a large family. So my family of origin, we are 8 children.
Oh.
Yeah.
What born are you?
7.
Lovely.
So we cover quite a number of generations in our home. So in our sibling group, we have Gen Xers and millennials. Because, well, we were before Gen Y. I don't know what happened from Gen Y to millennial, but it's okay. So my parents raised Gen Xers and millennials. And how they raised my Gen X siblings is not the way they raised me and my brother, the millennials.
Yeah.
And this speaks to just the evolution of time. There are things they've learned to experience, there's a way they've grown. I think, in fact, there would have been a problem if they raised us the way they raised my older siblings. Sure. Because that means that they have not grown or they have not evolved as parents.
Yeah.
So, and they did the best they could with what they knew. I normally say, I never really understood my father till I became a father myself.
That's so true.
I suddenly had so much compassion for that man, and I suddenly understood the sacrifices, the time, just the lengths he went to give me options in life, and the kind of life that I live, and the values that are imbued in me. So it's not so much traditional parenting versus modern parenting. It's just he did the best he could with what he knew at the time, because it belonged to a certain construct and it belonged to a certain generation. Then now my siblings, my older siblings, they themselves have raised millennials and Gen Zs.
Gen Zs,
Yeah. I have children, and now I'm raising generation Alpha.
Alpha, yes.
Yeah, because now that's the next generation.
Yeah.
And each season or each type of generation shall raise children in a different context.
Yeah.
So while I think I am enlightened and in tune and I know a lot, the truth is, chances are my children will also say, and I hope they say, that my father did the best he could with what he knew. Yeah. So it's not traditional versus modern. It's just understand that your parents belonged to a certain construct. There is the realities that shaped their lives. There were global events that shaped their worldview. And there was the philosophy of each generation.
Sure.
Because you realize that we are the first ones to transition from the 20th to the 21st century, of which now that was the industrial age, now into the knowledge age.
Yeah.
And that has come with a whole different set dynamics that require a different type of parenting in that regard.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's so much traditional versus modern.
So I think what then we are saying is that if you have two kids with different generations, you're almost setting yourself up for failure if you're raising them the same way.
Exactly.
The way you almost discipline one is not the way you discipline another.
No. You see, the thing is, you have to raise your children to be equipped for their time.
For their time.
Yeah.
Correct.
You don't raise your children to be equipped for your time.
I think that's a big mistake parents make.
Or it's just you don't know better.
But know better. Well, I'm not saying know everything, but at least, and that's why such forums or conversations are important.
Yeah.
To realize that we don't know much, and until we seek that knowledge or until we seek to understand how to raise someone, because the information is there, it's just for us to look for it. Yes. And the reason why I'm passionate about that point is because, and like anything in life, you can excuse or you can understand. Yes. And there's this thing that I think you've kept saying, and I respect it. And I think there's a time I was watching something and they said, I think it was a Lynn Googie show, and the person had come to say about their relationship with their parent wasn't the best because they felt neglected or whatever it is that the parent did for them.
Yeah.
Then in that situation, it's almost like, do you also say they did what they could with what they knew? Because there's a difference between being ignorant and not knowing something.
Exactly.
Because as much as maybe your parent is raising you in a way that is not in tune with your generation, there's some responsibility there. I will understand that you raised me with the best you knew, but we need to also start calling out these things so that somebody can know. When you get a child, there are things you need to put in place. There's information you need to equip yourself with. There's people you need to surround yourself with, because only in that context will you know the things that you should be able to help you, bring up a child who's worthy and who won't stress you up later in life.
And I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Though you must understand that the availability of information for us, the way
there.
For you, though, you pick up your phone and you can get the information you want.
Yeah.
The fact that we're having this video forum that now is being available to other people. The way you have computers and everything. So your access and your ability to synthesize information is that much faster.
Yeah.
That much easier. Probably your parents didn't have that. Yeah. So it's not to excuse the parent. It's when you understand their context, suddenly you have
compassion and empathy.
And then now the responsibility shifts from them to you. One of the biggest things you must do as an adult is learn to parent yourself. So where your parents didn't parent you, parent yourself.
Your responsibility.
It's now your responsibility.
They say you can only be excused for mistakes of your parent until 18. After that, it's you. You need to parent yourself and outgrow whatever happened. So yeah.
Again, that is subject to the level of trauma you suffered.
Yeah.
Because there's trauma that carries on. There are
Oh,
wounds
so
that are
right.
for far too long. But at
Yeah.
18, and even at 18, really, what do you know about life?
Whether saying 18 or 30 at some point. But the point is, at a specific point,
Yes.
now it starts being about what happened to you, and you need to. But like you said, there's some
Yeah.
things they're not black and white.
They take time.
Yeah.
Because, you know, 18 is when you're coming into yourself. Suddenly,
Mhm.
you're trying to understand this issue of agency.
Mm.
So you're figuring it quite a lot. There's an
Yeah.
abundance of freedom, but not sufficient responsibility.
Yeah.
And that tips the scale negative.
To another level.
But there's a season where you must have an abundance of freedom
Mhm.
without the responsibility. But I agree with you. 30 is a good age.
That
to
is a
say,
good age. Yeah, I think they say 30.
You've settled and now you can think through several things.
Yeah.
So when you look at it from that lens, that now it's your responsibility to parent yourself. If you do not get the parenting that was necessary or ideal,
Yeah.
It shifts the burden and the locus of control from a third party, and you take the power back. And there's nothing as liberating as when you get your power back.
You're responsible for yourself.
Now you know it's up to you to go as far as you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. Okay. Are there things that you like about maybe previous generation of doing things that maybe you have carried into your parenting? For example, I'll give you an example. I like this whole get-togethers.
Yeah.
There's a way you'd go to shags and all come together and cousins play, and I have sworn to myself, as God helps me, I will be able to pass that with my children. We'll just bring together their cousins and whatnot, and we have a family set up, because with this day and age of being hyper connected, people don't meet a lot, and it's important for that connection to be there. So you know your cousin and your cousin and your cousin, not meeting each other in the streets, and then you're like, oh, that's your son? You could be ours.
That's why during the marriage process, they normally want to know which village you come from.
Oh yeah, they go into the
I remember when I was going through the marriage process, my wife's side of the family had to come and see where we come from. So as to ensure we're not related.
Yeah.
And I think that was so important.
I think it is.
But some of the things that I like from the prior generation, and this one must give credence to both sides of the family, my family and my side of the family. This is what you said, family gatherings. Yeah. Because, and also maybe photographs. So my wife's family is big on photos.
Nice.
That's something I've learned from my in-laws.
Document moments,
Document your moments. So that wasn't as big, as though we've picked it up over time.
Yeah.
But my wife has a collection of photos from when she was growing up, preteen, teen, uni, adult. I mean, they have all those things.
Yeah.
For me, on the other hand, maybe 20s. I mean, there are photos here and there, but not as much as it wasn't conscious. I would say, and that's okay. That's fine. So family get-togethers, fantastic. So for us, Christmas and New Year's are family-centered or family-oriented. If I'm not on my side, I'm aside. Just so that we can have these shared moments and these shared memories. Also for the benefit of our children, so that they know holidays are for family. Because you want to...
Family is important.
Family is important. You want to ensure that when they are grown, and when they have their own children, they visit you often. So if they don't see you visiting your folks, where do you want them to learn to visit?
To visit their folks,
So to those of us who are raising young children, visit your parents often.
Yeah, true.
So that when
my mom always teaches like that. Sometimes she even sacrifices me visiting her to visit my grandma. She's like, okay, but have you visited your grandma when I'm coming back? Just pass by. This potatoes, pass them. Go and give your grandma. Because at that age, that's what keeps you going.
And also it gives your children their heritage. It gives them an understanding of where they're from and what maybe the traditions they come from look like, and so on and so forth. Let them know their roots. And that's critical. There's a Swahili saying, something in Tumwa, but basically changes it. The translation is that if you don't understand your roots, it's like you're an alien. So And the only way you can understand your roots is if you
You're there.
get your children to interact
Yes.
more often.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a question here. What do you believe in? Or what does your family, you and your wife, believe in? What's good for your child or
Mhm.
what's best for them?
Wow. What? Whether I want the good or the best.
Yeah.
Allow me to turn
Good
that
for
on
them or what's best for them? Yeah.
Allow me to turn that on its head. It's
Yeah.
more whether what's good or what's great for them.
Yeah.
You see, the biggest enemy of the greatest within you, of the greatness within you, is the good that you can do.
Okay.
You see, if you're given a clear choice between good and bad, you'll always
Is
choose
it
the
good?
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
But there's what's great for you.
Yeah.
And to live a great life, you have to say no to a lot of good. So, for example, being present in my children's lives.
There's some things you'll have to.
There are some things I'll have to say no to.
Yeah.
Wanting to scale the corporate ladder, or even here, scale the government. There's some things I'll have to say no to. Not that they're bad. It's just that it's the good thing getting in the way of the great thing.
Yeah.
And the best way to teach my children to live great lives is to live a great life myself.
Sure.
Okay. So I first have to seek out the great thing for me. And again, this is something I learned recently. It's not like wisdom. And so right now I am evaluating priorities and decisions in my life to see whether I've been choosing good things or great things. So what are the good things in my life that I need to say no to so that I can get to the great? It's just a similar thing to the law of priority in marriage, because you see, the thing that tends to upset the balance in your marriage is good things out of priority.
Yeah.
So my wife comes first and nobody is a close second, and I've said that before.
Yeah.
But the good thing would be, say my wife needs us to go do something together as a family, and she's probably said it for the past, and we planned it 4 months now.
Yeah.
And then a month to the function, or 2 weeks to the function, I'm invited by my siblings for something important. Yeah. And probably even a good plan. Yeah. So it's a good thing. But what was the great thing to do? To honor the commitment. So yes, it's a good thing to go and do this thing with my siblings, but the great thing is to honor my wife. Yeah. Because that is what enables us to have a great marriage. So for my children, first thing, I need to be the one, because I need to lead by example. Right. So I need to live a great life. Correct. And the second thing is to equip them to make great decisions. Yeah. They don't, and although I'm raising them to be really smart and academically gifted, but for me, the more important thing is to raise them to be great decision makers. Yeah. They don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but they need to be the best decision maker in that room, or the best decision maker in that environment. Yeah. Yeah. So I need to pass on the capacity or the ability for them to make decisions. Correct. And for them to make decisions, they must first make a bad decision. Yeah. Stephen Covey normally says, the best thing you can do in life is make the best decision. The next best thing you can do is make the wrong decision. But the worst thing you can do is make no decision. So I'd rather my children make wrong decision than make no decision, because that's just one less way that they have to do something. Yeah. So that we can get to the great. Yeah. So I give them opportunities to make decisions all the time. So it's deliberations, it's conversations, it's what do you think, what do you want. I know the best outcome. Yeah, but you give them. But I give them the space to make their decision, and we go with it. And if it turns out wrong, even if from the word go, it need to turn out wrong. Yeah. And you see, that's the thing. We're doing it in a home environment, in a home space, so they're safe. So it's within boundaries. So I like that. It's taking risks within boundaries. Within boundaries, yeah? So that even, yeah. So there's room to recover. Yeah. Then now we review that decision they made. Yeah. Then I hear their thoughts about it, their thought process, what happened. And then after that, we say, so what do you think else can be done?
Now you move
Then
forward.
give her this suggestion.
Yeah.
And that's not a tier 1 or 2 situation. You could do that 10 times. Because we normally think it's once and then they get it. No, it could be 10, 20, 30 times. But I'd rather pay that price now when they're young than have to deal with it later when they're adults.
When it's actually big life-changing decisions and they have no confidence to make them.
Because whatever you don't deal with early continues to accrue interest.
Yeah.
So Swahili says poziba ufa utajenga.
Oh goodness.
So if you don't deal with the cracks, you'll have to build an entire wall.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's deal with the cracks.
Right now.
Right now. Other than looking at something that could potentially grow into a problem. Yet when it was at the point of easy to deal, we did deal with it then. And easy to deal is relative. I mean, it's hard. It's hard. But you'd rather do the hard now than have to deal with when you make things later.
Yeah. Okay. I like that because what they were, my thinking when I was asking that question is like in a career, maybe example. And I like that you've given the context of you. This is where you start from a family setting within boundaries, help them make decisions because, one day he'll come to you, he's probably 21 and he's gone through engineering and all that and he's about to become an engineer and says, actually, I'm really good with guitar. I think I'd rather just go play music at the restaurant because that's what makes me happy. Then in that moment, you're very confident that I've taught this man how to make decisions so that he can get to the great. So if he feels this is what is right for him at this moment, I trust that he has made the right decision. Or even if it's not the right decision, he knows how to come back from that decision.
Exactly. And I mean, he already has an engineering degree in the bag.
Yeah.
Going to explore arts. Explore. Maybe you could end up being a great sound engineer.
True.
So with your engineering background, you've understood that this is how best to get the sound of this guitar. And this is the best way to calibrate this microphone. So therefore, when I do certain things, it will be magnified. So by all means.
There's a podcast I was listening to of two ladies. Actually, it was Janet Bogwa, and she was giving the example, or her host. And they were saying, these things are things we say, and you're like, if my son comes today, you want to play guitar, I'll support him, I'll be okay with it. Until it actually happens, and you're like, oh my God, my son, sure, there's no money, you're not going to give. Like, it still worries you, or you still get concerned because, the outliers who will make it in whatever field they choose, but then maybe it's a more struggle to get where the parent wants, quote unquote, versus what the child needs. So I really like that you decided to look at it from a point of decision making and being able to stand with the decisions that you make and knowing when it's a bad decision and you need to reevaluate. Okay. There was another question here. This one I will read. I saw it somewhere. And it was asking, I'll just read and then we can discuss. So it says, do I recognize that I'm responsible to my child, to is underlined, to my child, and for her? So it's underlined. And they say parents often think that they're responsible for their children, responsible for their academic performance, their behaviors, how they behave in public, social etiquette. But no, parents are only responsible to their children. Parents are responsible to their children by giving them love and support and a good environment so that maybe they can, perform academically, so they can be socially etiquette, so they can have good behavior. The responsibility of the child is to provide them with love and support and a good home environment, And then children are responsible for their own lives. If your child misbehaves in school, for example, she's the one who's punished and not you. Successful parents, therefore, recognize that they aren't responsible for their children. So these parents don't carry a burden that they were never meant to carry. Quite a heavy analogy.
Lot has been said, and I'm sure the author has their reasons for that point of view. Though when I look at it from my point of view, remember that thing I said? You want to raise likable children. If you don't like your children, raise likable children. Yeah. And so you see, right now, I'm still being parented. Yeah? I am a father, I have a home, I have children, I have everything. But they're still parenting and receiving from My siblings, who are even in their 50s, are still
being parented.
being parented.
Yeah.
It's just the way that parenting works is different. And the way I am parenting my children is different. So I would say it's seasonal. There's a place where you're responsible for
them, yeah.
For them. Because they're learning. Right now is their place of learning, of absorbing. They're sponges. Where my children are at, they're sponges. Yeah? So they're observing, how does daddy behave? How does daddy do these things? How does mommy behave? How does mommy do her things? What are the values they have? What are their mannerisms, their habits, their schedules? They're absorbing. So if I say that I'm only responsible to my wife is just to pay for your fees and all, no. How am I going to teach you the discipline of doing your homework?
Yeah.
That resolve, how to prioritize your time. Now, when you get home, that this is the schedule that you need to follow. Yeah. So that I'm equipping you with skills that when you do finally go out into the marketplace, you know how to prioritize yourself. Because now the other thing can be, I just pay your fees and I let you be. That's my responsibility to them. You know, come rain or high water,
I will.
My children have to go to school. All right? That's my responsibility to them. And it's even mandated by government that parents must take their children to school. All right? And must give them an environment that they can thrive in. For example, food, shelter, clothing.
Yeah,
think of Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Yeah. So primary needs, food, shelter, clothing, and now education.
Yeah.
So that's my responsibility to them, and it's even a requirement of the state.
The law, yeah.
Okay. But I can't just stop there and say that
you've done your
responsibility is sufficient. No, I need to have schedules for them. They must have a bedtime. They must have routines that they adhere to. Even when they deviate, it's the exception, not the norm. Yeah, because you go to bed at a certain time, you wake up at a certain time. We have a routine for you when you must be in school at a certain time. You must be picked up from school at a certain time. When you get home, there are things you must do before you go out and play with your friends.
Yeah.
Then when you come back home, there's a routine we must adhere to. There's even a menu in the home. Those are things that they must follow, whether they like it or not. Because when they do come out to society, there's a whole government with a set of rules and all laws that shall not allow them to behave the way they want. Asiyefunzwa na mamaye, hufunzwa na ulimwengu. And similar to spare the rod, spoil the child. So if I don't administer my responsibilities for them, then I cannot expect that it is sufficient for them to have my responsibilities to them, to cater to them.
Yeah.
Right? So I hear the author and I respect their views. Just that I would say seasonal.
It's seasonal. It's not black and white.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and even right now in my mid-30s and my siblings in their 50s and others in their 40s, there are responsibilities that my parents have for us, and there are those that they have to us. But I realize that's a place of privilege.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I have a great dad and I have a great mom.
Yeah.
Mother's complete love.
Oh.
So there's responsibilities both ways.
Both ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask you, because and not to defend the other, but just want to hear from both analogies.
Yeah.
Say a mother right now, or a dad. Their child has misbehaved out of maybe occasional misbehavior, whatever that looks like. They are adults, 30 plus, and then they're arrested, for example, and now there's a bail. Otherwise, they serve a life sentence. And this bill can only be met if the parents give everything they have worked so hard for at this point. Then I think from that point is not when there's a real question of, am I responsible for this child or to this child? Because if you say then two, then it's probably not your responsibility to sell your belongings to build them out. Versus four, where you feel my life is at the service of this child. So what do you think at that point?
They're still both.
Yeah.
You see, at the end of the day, my responsibility to you is to show you. Remember what I told you? Love you unconditionally, no matter what.
Yeah.
That you're still my son, regardless of your behavior. And if I know as a parent, because by the time you're in your mid-30s and you become a miscreant and a problem to society, the question is, as a parent, did I do the best I could? Because children, you can raise them well and they, go side
Deviate.
left.
Yeah.
Okay? But if I know I raised you well, and this is the sum of your own decision making, then I am free. Okay?
Yeah.
And if I have other children, of course now it will not be responsible of me to sell off your inheritance to take care of one.
Yeah.
But this one who has deviated from the path, it doesn't mean that we abandon them. It means that whatever that we need to do in this season for them, we do.
You do. With
Yeah,
love.
because you see, at the end of the day, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. So how can I sell off my entire inheritance for one? What does that mean for my children's children? Yeah. So context. But I'm not saying that that's what they must do. I mean, each family has its own decision making. Yeah. And if they think that that's what they need to do, well and good. But if it was me, I don't want to ever be in that situation, but if it was, I don't think I would be responsible to the siblings.
To everybody else.
And their grandchildren.
Yeah.
But I would do the best I can in that scenario. And if as a parent I see that we can avoid it, I would. Yeah. Because by the time somebody is going off that path, there are telltale signs.
Yeah.
So I would try to intervene before we get to that level.
Before it gets worse.
Because the state is
it's not, yeah.
So if we can intervene before, at any point, I would never advocate for you to give up on your children. Ever. Even if they're a miscreant, even if they're deviant, don't give up on them, no matter the age.
Yeah.
You go after them. You don't know when that will yield. Because there are those who go side left in their teens, it carries on into their 20s. Your place is just to love that child and do the best you can for them in that situation. Maybe it's in their 30s they'll turn around. Or maybe it even carries on to their 30s. Maybe it's their 40s that they'll turn around. Because you see, you're a parent for life.
Yeah. You don't choose I'll be a parent at 20 and then at 40.
It never ends.
Yeah. Lifetime.
It's a lifetime thing. So you never know when this person could turn around.
Yeah.
So don't give up hope.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Second last question. Is there any piece of advice that you'd give to young couples? Young couples, I mean guys who just got married or maybe not married, but now have found themselves with a child, probably in their 20s, 23, 24. Is there any piece of advice that you have accumulated, like you rightly said? All the things we know is things we've learned, things from people who've been there. Yeah. So is there anything that you would like them, maybe like these are the things to look out for, or these are the things to do to set yourself up for success?
First thing I would say is congratulations. You've had children at the best possible time. I love that I got my kids.
Yeah.
I think I was just turned 30 at the time. But when I look at them, if I could have had them earlier, like 23, 24.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was asking another guest the other day if there's a right time to have children.
All the time is the right time.
Okay.
So
actually, I'm with you.
Yeah, so whether you have them in your 40s, even if you become a mother at 50 for the first time, it's okay.
Yeah.
We even saw a lady in Kakamega the other day give birth to triplets in her 60s.
Yeah.
Or was it twins? One of the two.
Yeah.
Okay. Though if there was a matter of choice. But again, you see, this is in hindsight.
Of course.
And they say hindsight is 2020.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I would have had them earlier.
Yeah.
24, 23, thereabout. So that when I'm 40, 40 by the time your children are in college. We're saying we're 40 now. And this one I've seen from, again, my older sister.
Yeah.
Great. So she has a great husband.
Yeah.
And they had their children early. And now, for me, 50 is a very young age in my head.
Yeah.
When they're 50, I know people tend to say 50. No, 50 is young.
Yeah.
They're in their 50s, and their children have already, some have graduated college, they're working. And right now they're like honeymooners.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a second
Life
honeymoon.
Just began.
Life has just started. Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not saying children hold you back. All I'm just saying is they have a lot
different
more
for sure.
ahead of them.
Yeah.
So first things first, congratulations. If you had a child at 23, 24, best decision I think you could have made. May not have been deliberate,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you know, chance and time has smiled on you.
Yeah.
Things to look out for as parents. Please ensure you have a philosophical basis of how to raise your children. What is your parenting philosophy? And you see, my life philosophy is not necessarily my parenting philosophy, but it would be great if it was. So for me, I do have a philosophy. I have a parenting philosophy. But again, these are things that I have learned over time. It's not something I woke up and I knew. And there's a lot of trial and error. So instead of doing all of that trial and error, why don't you look for people ahead of you
Yeah.
who can talk to you?
Yeah.
So that's it. So just know best decision you made. Best advice I can
You
give.
have a
Find a basis of
A
your
basis.
parenting philosophy,
Yeah.
whatever that may look like.
okay. All right. Well, as we part short, please say something to your wife, to the mother of your children, and then something to your children.
Well, babe, first things first, I love you. Thank you for being a rock and a pillar in my life. I cannot imagine doing this journey without you. To my children, Jen and Asa, you guys make life worth living and it's always fun. And you keep me young, and it's always just fun being with you. So to the House of K, God bless you, and looking forward to doing this for very many years.
Oh, so very sweet. All right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Goodbye.